Alright, so what I'm going to share today is a really cool story for me. Because I'm going to tell you about a time that I went to prison. Yeah, it's always a fun story when you get to hear that someone went to prison, right? So through this story though, I want you to remember and think about this question, okay? Think about a time when you've been stuck in a situation and you can't get out. Kind of like a prison, right? You're stuck in prison. In a prison cell, you're not going nowhere. All right, so think about that as I kind of tell this story. So first time I ever went to prison, I was like 8 years old, and my dad actually goes to prisons and does like a little ministry where he teaches people that have been in prison or jails. He shares Jesus with them, and always as a little kid I always wanted to go. I don't know why. I used to make a joke when I was a little kid to everybody. I used to say, yeah, my dad's in and out of prison all the time. And everybody would be like, that's weird. Why are you so excited about that? But as a kid, I thought it was cool that my dad could go somewhere and like share some good news to people that, kind of feel stuck when they can't go nowhere. So finally, after I begged and I begged and I begged my dad to go, he finally let me. And I regret that. But after I went, my dad, the whole experience was kind of crazy. So we went, and when you first go into there, if you're visiting, I'm sure if you get in there for other reasons, it's a different process. But for us visiting, we went up to the door and they searched us and everything, and they asked us a bunch of questions while we're there. And we get through this whole big interviewing process, and they escort us down this hallway. And so like we're walking down the hallway, and like me as a little kid, like I'm scared to death. So I'm like holding my dad's hand, like walking right behind him. And there's prison cells, and guys are like staring. And so I'm freaked out by this time, and they take us into this room, and then in a line, the guys all come in. And they kind of line them up, they all sit down, and then they kind of wait, and my dad shares some stuff with them. I'm sure they were there just to get out of their cell. I mean, I don't know why they were there, but almost everybody there would come and listen to my dad. And I thought it was kind of cool. And so when we went to leave, we were going, and they actually have a little bit of a different process to when you go to leave. Like, they may let you in, but they don't want to let you out. So we really had to go through this extensive, like, they made us sit down, fill out paperwork, go through another interview process. And so I'm sitting there with my dad, and we're waiting for them to approve us to come out. And I asked my dad, I was like, hey, has anybody ever escaped before? And, I'm expecting my dad to be like, no, you can't get out of here. And my dad's like, yeah. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean people have gotten out of here? He's like, yeah, like people can escape. Because back then, like, it was actually a key. That is how you open prison cells. Now it's like magnetic locks, so it's a little different. But back then it was the actual key, and so my dad's like, yeah, they've gotten out of there. So me as a little kid, like, I'm freaked out. I'm like, what? I'm like, can we get out of here? Like, I don't want anybody escaping. My dad's like, no, it's good. But yeah, there was a story. My dad's like, they call it the story of the Keyman. All right, so I'm gonna tell you all this story. I know I did all that to tell you this story, but I'm going somewhere. And so my dad shared this story about a Keyman. And this guy used to make keys for a living. You know how if you lock your keys in your car, they have people now that can come and actually make a key for your car and you can unlock it? Instead of like breaking in, people actually make keys for your car. They drive up, make a key on the spot. Well, this guy did this a long time ago, but he kind of turned something good into something bad, and he started stealing the cars. So he would make a key for someone's car, drive off, take off, see you later. Dude got away with this for a long time. I mean, imagine 10 years ago, he could probably steal a lot of cars and get away, right? So he did this. He'd make keys, he'd steal them. Who knows what he did with them? Well, he got caught, all right? And so he was in prison for stealing all these cars. And when you go into a prison cell, from what I imagine, like, I would imagine you go into a prison cell and, like, you kind of size the other guy up, I don't know if I've seen this from movies or what, but like, I would imagine you'd go into a prison cell and like you see someone and you're like, yo, like, I'm badder than you are. I've killed like 50 people, like, don't touch me. That's what I would imagine. That's what I would do. But like, if you just make keys for a living and you got to prison, like, what are you supposed to tell the dude? Like, oh, I'm bad. Like, I make keys. Like, that's not hard. Like, that's not really a thug life right there. But so in my mind, I imagine this story that the key man went, and my dad was telling me, like, they didn't talk to their cellmates. My dad's like, most cellmates don't talk for at least the first 6 months to a year, because they're really feeling each other out. It's very territorial. I'm like, okay. And so my dad went on to tell me the story how the key man over years collected metal and was actually able to make a key and break out. All right? And how the story goes is the cellmate woke up one night and he heard the cell door shut. And he wakes up and he sees this guy, the key man, on the other side. And he's like, yo, like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm out of here. And then he's like, well, take me with you. Like, I want to go. Naturally, right? And he's like, no. Well, what do you mean, no? And he's like, well, I've been here a year and you have never talked to me. You've never asked me what I did. You didn't care that I was in here stuck with you. So I'm out. He goes, I'm sure you'll like it a little better, and you're alone now, so you can have the whole place to yourself. So the key man leaves. Well, in the story, the guy, the cellmate, is just stuck, right? He's in there all by himself. And he starts to think and get mad, like, dang it, man. I can't believe he's so selfish. You know, he starts to get mad. He's like, how come this dude didn't bring me with him? You know, I'd be pretty mad. And then he starts to kind of like, you know, get really upset at himself. He's like, man, how come I never asked this dude? I never asked, not even once, what his name was, who he was, what he did, how to get in here. I never asked, man. He's like, I was just mad. And so as a little kid, I'm thinking about this story, and I'm like, okay, like that's a great story. And my dad's like, you'll get it one day. I'm like, all right, I'll get it one day. All right, well now I get it. All right, and here's what this means. A lot of times in our life, we're stuck in our own prisons. We've all been there. We've all been stuck in a relationship that didn't work out and affects things in the future. We've all been depressed before. We've all been stuck in different situations. Maybe some of y'all are in a school situation or you know, financial, whatever it is. We've all been in our own type of prison. In our world, in our life, you've all been in something. You've all faced something where you felt trapped, right? Because that's what prison is. You're stuck. You can't go nowhere. But the interesting thing about this, here's what I learned, is God brings people into our life to get you out. There's always someone in your life right now. Whatever you're dealing with, it don't matter. It could be small or it could be big, just like a prison. Whatever it is, there's someone in your life that can help you out. And I can testify to that. I've always been in a situation, but here's what happens. We're always so focused on ourselves, we don't see the people right beside us. We're always focused on the prison being stuck that we don't see what God's blessed us with. And it happens to us all the time. This is a common thing in our lives. That's why I wanted to share this with y'all, because I've dealt with this. I've been so angry at my financial situation that I didn't recognize a buddy who is very financially free that I hang out with that could have helped me. So what was my problem? I didn't ask. Just like this cellmate, the inmate, he didn't ask. We have to ask, man. We have to reach out to people. So what I wanted to encourage y'all with this whole entire story tonight or today, is the fact that you're stuck in a situation. I know you are. We're all faced with something. And there's someone in your life right now that can help you out. And so when I went to share this, I was like, you know what? I was like, we got some funny people here. There's going to be somebody here that says, man, I ain't got nobody up in my life that can help me. I'm all alone. So I was like, all right. I was like, I got something for them. You know, there's someone by the name of Jesus. And he came and he died on a cross to get you out of your prison. He came and he died for you so you wouldn't have to go to hell. That's a prison. And also, like-minded, Jesus came to set you free from your situation. All you have to do is ask. And a lot of us don't think about it like that. You know, it's like, oh, Jesus, well, that's great. You know, well, he's there, he's up there, God's up there. You know, I'm dealing with this down here. Well, he came to help you for what you deal with down here, because he came here. And so when I was thinking about this, so back to where I was at my dad. I was asking my dad, I'm like, well, how do you know? How do you know I'll get it one day? And how do you know, you know, you can get out of prisons and situations in my life? And here's what my dad said. If there's anything I want y'all to take away from this, it's right here. He said, Matthew 7:7. He says, ask and you'll receive. Seek and you'll find. And then it goes on to say, knock and your door will be open. God proves it right there in his word that when you ask him for help, he'll deliver. He'll help you out. He'll open the door. You'll be set free. It's right there. So I want to encourage y'all with that today.